Hello and welcome to Editing with My Wife. Now with more chapters. My name's the Hooded Philosopher and I'm here with Cheesy Loops. Cheesy Loops, what's this episode about? Because in the last episode, we killed everyone. It was over.
Everybody died?
Well, not everybody, but the bad guy. I mean, Frelick's dead. Rohan's dead. This weird Anton, whatever it was that I made up for some reason, is dead. I think that was my old writing. And maybe I need to go in there and delete it, but whatever. There's a dude. Enjoy. And then, who knows what happened to Dralyn? He might be dead. Who knows what happened to Marcus? He got attacked. That was like 2 or 3 chapters back. At the end of Frelick, he got hurt.
Oh.
And somebody took him away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then we also told Ari and the other guy back in they got hurt and then disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
But
jeez, people keep disappearing.
That's because you can teleport in this.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, people are just going to disappear sometimes because they're teleporting away. They even appear. In
this episode, the boy gets a new name.
He figures out what his name should be, and it happens pretty quick.
It does.
So why don't we just get into it and get it over with?
Okay. Chapter 38, Dralyn loves his father. Should I say that a different way?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he would want that. Right?
Okay.
He wanted to honor Dralyn.
Yeah.
So he's just taking the name.
The boy grabbed his father's attention, saying in their hand language, "I wish to honor Dralyn." "Here, let's stop in here and we can discuss it." Nathaniel pointed to a massive glowing sign above a rather large, well-constructed building, naming it Reedon Inn. The boy stopped him. "I want you to call me Dralyn, he spelled out.
Well, it's with his hands.
"That sounds like a good name," Nathaniel said, reaching into the space between his back and the pack on it. "Are you sure you don't want to take the namesake of your father?" He waved around the severed arm, wrapped it to obscure its true form. "I don't think it would make sense if we were both called Nathaniel," was his reply. "Nathaniel, don't go waving that around," Truska chided. "We're bringing that to the Dragon Rider Hall, where you will explain the judgment you bestowed upon that awful Sloane the Divine." Her face was hard, but her eyes showed a kind of love from the pride few parents are able to show.
Few parents are able to show. She's not a parent.
She's not.
But she has that pride that few parents get to show.
But at the same time, she may not be a parent. Well, she is a parent somewhere along the lines. But she is in the way that you have adopted family that you don't officially adopt.
She did not ever have a child.
Yeah.
The magic needed her, and they couldn't have her distracted.
Yeah. "Yes, Auntie, I'll be more careful," Nathaniel said with a smile as he put the arm between his pack and his back, obscuring it from view. They walked into Reedon Inn. It smelled heavenly, like sweetbreads and hearty stews. The building was divided by a wall where the owner, Reedon, presumably lived. As they walked in, they heard a gentle tone when a voice said, "Welcome in, and take a seat. Reedon will be with you shortly. Hydration."
Hydrate regularly. Hydrate for your life.
They sat at a nearby table that comfortably seated 3. The chairs looked to be made of stone, with large, elegant runes carved into them. When the team sat in them, they felt like the plushiest, silkiest fabric one can imagine. The dissonance becoming familiar. Interesting. The 3 of them comfortably... Woo! Sorry, guys, let me try this again. The distance becoming familiar, the 3 of them comfortable in the chairs, began to relax when a gentleman dressed in fine clothes came floating by in a bejeweled, rune-inscribed chair and joined them at the table. He addressed them all at once. "I have need of sapphire. For that I will make you each individual meals, or I'm willing to trade for some heartstring." "I've got plenty of heartstring. How many?" he trailed off as Dralyn placed a sapphire on the table. Dralyn smiled brightly, offering it to Reedon. Everyone smiled back at him. "I guess he's paying," Nathaniel smirked. Reedon took the sapphire and placed them... Yep. Placed it in a hole in his chair. "What can I get you fine folks today?" he said, staying chipper. Nathaniel answered first. Just a simple salad with avocado, cranberry, and walnut, with a tea-berry vinegar dressing. Tea-berry vinegar dressing. Tresca spoke next as Dralyn made hand motions at his father. Some split pea soup and maybe some buttered bread and some fine green tea. And the boy? Reedon said, looking to Nathaniel. Dralyn said he would like steak with potatoes and carrots, he translated. A young man after my own heart, Reedon said, smiling at the boy. He put a small amount of the powder of creation in his mouth, and before them sat what they had ordered. This pea soup smells great. Tresca smelled deeply of the soup. Is that cardamom? Reedon nodded. An old family secret, he said with a finger over his lips, and left the room. Tresca took another bite and then looked over at Dralyn. Half the meat was on the plate, the carrots were gone, and the potatoes were left untouched. Nathaniel was picking at the salad in front of him, the leaves each coated with a tea-berry dressing, the nuts and cranberries sticking nicely to each leaf. He looked up at Tresca. How did we ever give up our children? How did he fool us all so easily? Tresca took a moment to think back on all her long years. I remember he promised less child death, and a good education to boot. Sorry, burps. Oh.
We have cheese toasty.
It's the drink. I'm drinking so fast. It was hard for my mother to give up our baby brother, but he came back to us smarter and better than the rest of us. She savored another bite of the pea soup. It wasn't that he deserved to be with us more. She took a deep breath. It's that we wanted him more. When he talked, he spoke with dignity and grace. He was different from the rest of us when he came back, almost more human. Tresca ate another bite of the pea soup. Dralyn made a hand motion that said vial of mine. Nathaniel reached into his pocket, procuring a vial, handing it off to Dralyn, who guzzled it down so quickly that he almost choked on it. But why give the children to someone else when you can raise them and teach them what you've learned? He thought, his mouth full of meat. That was the custom before Sloane came in with his magic and made the world love him. He gave us magic, and all he asked in return was to educate our children, Tresca responded, gently pushing away the bowl in front of her to signify that she was done with her meal. He educated our children, all right, Nathaniel spat. He educated them on how to stop being children. He was training them to be an army at his command. He and that vile Fralix stole children and experimented on them with runes on flesh. Nathaniel stopped eating his salad. But then you saved them, Dad, Dralyn noted, his gentle voice cutting through his anger. Then, instead of taking that power for yourself, you gave it back to the parents. Tresca stood. Surely there are facilities that I may use around here. I'll go find Reedon. She stood and walked toward the door, marked for Reedon, and he showed her the way. Dralyn leaned back in his seat, the two front legs lifting up off the ground. Not only that, but you've given me an exciting life full of people and experiences. You're a hero on every level. Nathaniel's heart skipped a beat. His anger subsided when Dralyn reminded him this. I don't know what I would have done without you and Tresca. All the violence, all that hate, and all we have to show for it is what? The right arm of a dead false god? A man who claimed to be my father? He scoffed in Nathaniel's mind. And the adoration of every parent whose children were taken from them. The love of an aunt who cannot express how proud she is. And the love and devotion of a son that will always be there for you, he added. Nathaniel took in a deep breath. You're right. No more sorrow for me for the rest of the trip. We will mourn for them with the rest of society after all the power has found a home. Maybe our new lord should set down some decrees, Tresca said, coming back from the lavatory. I think that you go to the bathroom just to make a point, the boy thought. I can't help that you guys don't discuss important things until I'm gone. I have to make my point sometime, she retorted as she sat down and took a sip of her tea. I do not wish to be lord of all. I don't think we need just one person at the top. Why not just have the people decide what they want? We got all this magic. Maybe we can get the opinion of as many people as we can give it. We will speak of this with Reviled the Good. He will help us set up...
Reveled.
Oh, jeezy,
Sorry.
Pete.
That's what I was trying to do, was Revelid. I thought that was a pretty name.
It is a pretty name, and I just don't read it that way for some reason.
Where is it?
It's right there, and it does say Revelid, because you say river almost.
Okay.
Revelid.
Okay. Revelid.
Yeah. But I just say reviled.
He'd be a very important... Revelid sounds good. Reviled.
I know. It
sounds like Frelick.
It does.
But I'm not going for reviled. I'm going for Revelid.
Revelid.
Revelid sounds noble.
It does. We will speak of this with Revelid the good.
Or Rivelid. Rivelid. Yeah.
Can you stop trying to change it while I'm in the middle of reading?
Say it however you want. No, it's not up to me how that name is said, I should say. Mm-hmm. It is up to the reader. So if you wish to change it, it's up to you.
And he will help us set up a plan to communicate what I want. As Nathaniel said this, the empty dishes began to slowly hover toward the kitchen. Reedon floated to the table. Do you wish to have a place to rest your head? Reedon asked, pointing to a set of stairs in the corner leading down below the earth. Yes, that would be lovely, sir, Tresca said, offering some string from her pocket. He graciously accepted his payment, and they heard a lock click and a door open. Thank you for staying here in my humble Reedon Inn, he said, and then left. A note made its way over to the table. It said, should you need anything, all one needs to do is touch the rune to the left of the door. They got up and made their way to the stairs. Dralyn, Tresca, and Nathaniel slept well, knowing that this would all be over soon. The team awoke and pulled together their things and got ready for the next leg of the journey. Tresca packed the blanket made by the women of her book club. She placed it with care upon a feather pillow that came with it. Dralyn had just put his fine leather... Woof! Dralyn had just put his hard... Wow! I cannot read today. Dralyn had just put his fine hard leather boots on and was ready at the door, heading out when Nathaniel caught his attention and asked him in their handspeak, Where did you get that sapphire? Dralyn laughed. Sloane's crown. He gestured back as he knelt down, took off his pack, and pulled Sloane's gaudy crown out the top, offering it to Nathaniel, who put his hands out in refusal, saying, You can keep it. I figured I'd give it to the people so no one could covet it or deify it, his hands explained. Prudent, Nathaniel commented as Dralyn left the room. Tresca laughed aloud. That boy learns from you every day. He will be a wise disciple. Nathaniel shot her a look that said, I will not be taking any power. I don't want to be a god like Sloane. Look what it did to him. It is often those who do not have a wish to rule who would rule most equitably, Tresca proffered as she left the room. Nathaniel hadn't packed yet. He woke up last night. He looked through his pack.
He woke up last.
Oh, he woke up last.
He was the last one to wake up.
Thank you.
Okay.
It doesn't say night.
Yeah.
He woke up last. He looked through his pack. All the things he loved were in there. There was a flower frozen in time, the one his wife held the day of their wedding. A lock of her hair dangled off the bottom of the flower, a gift for their first anniversary. She told him she imbued it with luck. A small wooden sword sat at the base of the bag. He hadn't touched it in years. It was a toy his boys played with in the openness of his home. The smell of the perfume his daughters had soaked in still made him feel their presence. He wept when he remembered nothing can ever bring them back. Nathaniel packed up the bag with the rest of his things and got ready to leave and walked out the door. Reedon offered Tresca some food for the road in the form of cheese, sweetmeat, and bread. She accepted the gift, and they left. The road was full of the buzzing of family. Tresca took a deep breath and grabbed her nephew's arm to stabilize herself and gasped. I never thought I'd hear children playing in the streets again. Over 120 years ago, he took the children, my younger siblings, and well, I never thought I'd hear the sound of children playing in the streets again. Tresca was weeping tears of joy. Nathaniel grabbed his aunt and held her close as the sounds of mirth permeated the streets, like it hadn't in too long. The boy watched the streets full of people, big and small, undulating. How are we going to get anywhere in this mess of people? He asked his father with his hands. But Nathaniel wasn't looking. His eyes were full of tears with his auntie.
All right. So it starts with Dralyn deciding to take on Dralyn's name.
Yes. And it feels like he didn't quite understand how Dralyn's name was spelt, so he kind of did what he could. And it's cute. Because it's a slight variation on his name.
He didn't know. He didn't know how to spell it. It's a very complicated way to spell a name.
Yes. And the boy's is very simplified.
That's why I didn't want it to be changed verbally. It's because the boy wants to be named after him.
Yes.
Like...
I just was making sure that your intention wasn't to change the pronunciation.
He wouldn't understand that the pronunciation could be changed by the way he spelled it. Mm-hmm. It just looks like Dralyn.
Yeah, it does.
His mind.
I think it's very, very cute, their interactions. They do seem tired.
Yeah, it's like they're on their way back from having dealt with all of that. Right?
Yes. And they still have more to deal with. The task isn't quite done. But they're trying to make light of things. Trying to help them through that tired feeling. So I quite like... I also like reading in. It's a fun word to say.
And that's how all the things work. If you weren't able to make the food for yourself, you would go into an inn. And it would just be the person's name with the inn attached.
Yes. To denote that what
kind of job they do. What they're helping with.
Yeah.
Because if you have the drugs, you can just do it.
Yeah.
There are construction companies, technically, where people work together to move heavy objects and make them appear in places.
Earlier in the book, you talked about how Nathaniel would open up portals for those constructions.
Yes, that was basically his job.
His job was to help people open up their homes.
Move stuff in and out of homes.
Yeah.
So... the enemy invading his own home when nobody should have been able to is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Do you notice that in this chapter, rune isn't...
It's because rune inscribed.
No, there's runes later on down, and it doesn't do it.
Maybe people don't put runes on crowns very often.
Or maybe rune is pluralized, runes. And so maybe...
He touched the runes on his skin, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it should be pluralized.
Placed it in a hole. There's a singular...
Well, it depends on how you saw it.
Okay, I love that Nathaniel says, a simple salad. And then lists 4 very seemingly complicated things, which is avocado, cranberry, walnut... and something called a tea-berry vinegar dressing or vinaigrette.
Yeah, I could fix it. Is that even a real dressing? I wonder.
I don't know what a tea-berry is.
I just made it up.
I like it, but it's supposed to be a simple one. Split pea soup, some buttered bread, and some fine green tea, which I want tea after this. And the boy, Dralyn said he would like...
steak and potatoes, boy after my own heart.
Yeah,
which is which is actually more simple than the...
Yeah, simple than salad. Can you get rid of that comma, please?
Same with the split pea soup.
Yeah, so the reason why we giggled so hard was Tresca smelled deeply of the soup.
It's just a funny statement.
It is a funny statement.
And I don't want to get rid of it because it's like, this is a time to laugh about anything.
Little things like that? Okay.
This is, and there's no more threat. All the threats are gone.
Smelled deeply of the soup.
So now she can just smell deeply of the soup, unconcerned. So even if I got comments about that, I think I would reply to them something along the lines of, "That's what happened."
It was intentional.
It was intentional. I was being funny.
It was intentional. Yeah. Okay.
So then
they talk about the children and what happened. It wasn't that he deserved to be with us more. It's that we wanted him more. Explain a little bit to me what she was meaning in that sentence, because this is after he comes back.
It is talking about her brother.
Yes. After her brother came back.
He's more human than they are when he comes back.
What does that mean, to be more human than they are?
What does that mean? That's a great question. I don't know. But that's what happened.
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly what was being taught in the school. In fact, I thought that would be an interesting question to see what other people think. But the idea is that they came back with more knowledge of how to do things.
Okay.
They went from a medieval child to a teenager out of high school.
Okay.
More human in some way. Which is the truth. Because every bit of knowledge that we as a collective society has obtained is ours. And the more of it you have, the more human you are. Right?
Okay.
The further you are away from animals who can't even grasp it. Somehow more human. I'm not trying to be... It is, in a way, I think that if we went to the past, into that medieval world, and understood how to manipulate magnetic fields and even, like, rearrange subatomic structures, we would look like gods to them.
Right.
But that's just... We can do that with technology these days. Not easily, or by any means, but we can do it now. It has been done, and it has been happening for a while.
Okay. This part, it kind of makes sense, and I want to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. I don't know what I would have done without you and Tresca. All the violence, all that hate, and what do we have to show for it? And all we have to show for it is what? The right arm of a dead false god? A man who claimed to be my father. And then what else he got out of it was the adoration of every parent whose children were taken from them, the love of an aunt who cannot express how proud she is, and the love and devotion of a son that will always be there for you.
So he starts by seeing all the bad that was happening, and then I would imagine maybe it's something like he saw something on Nathaniel's face. A growing concern.
So everything they got out of this was these two negative things, but Nathaniel's getting these other things that that would not be happening if they didn't decide to do this.
He shifts tone.
Yes, he shifts tone.
He shifts tone because of... I mean, he's saying all this to Nathaniel. All the violence, all the hate that we went through, all that horrible crap, and this is what we get. This is where we are. Mm-hmm. And then he realized it also brought him and Nathaniel together.
Yes.
It also... What was the other things he says? It gave his aunt an experience she never conceived she could have, and then himself loving him, having Nathaniel as a father.
Right. It does feel like Tresca did leave in this moment here, so that way Dralyn, the boy, and Nathaniel can have a moment.
And she was done with her soup.
And she was done with her soup. And she probably did have to go use the restroom.
You usually just can't you? If you need to.
I think that you go to the bathroom just to make a point. Such sass from that little boy.
Turning into a little man.
Into a man. One moment, please. I can't read the screen. Yay.
I think we're getting to the point where we've talked about it. I think that what do you think was happening in the school yourself from this story so far? I don't really talk about it, but it's going to be pretty prevalent in the next bit. And so I'm curious.
So for me, I take it at 2 points here.
And we can call this the question of the day.
I personally take it from two different points of time here, where is point one of time is the true intentions of Sloane, who comes in, wants to educate these children to not only understand more in life, but also to help train them in these magics. Mm-hmm. Because he knows that giving people this power there's going to be a lot of things happening. Mm-hmm. This is a big move all at once, but if you can train the children up to learn how to use these magics and how to bring about this like world peace kind of feel where everybody has food, everybody has a place to live,
kind of nurture it
and nurture it.
And what he did clearly was change the children, because you see Ella, and she's more competent and she's younger than everybody. Mm-hmm. She's quicker.
But then you hit that turning point where the magic madness takes over, himself. And that's when the experimentation starts to happen, because.
What exactly is it? Because if it's all based around personality, their magic powers, what is it about the personality shift that would make it become so evil? It's I guess maybe it's a little bit of that saying, the only thing for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing, and he just chose to do nothing, and that's how he helped the Frelick the Vile, and not actually getting involved in it, because we never see that. In fact, you don't see them ever at the same place.
Yeah, and they constantly talk about how he took Frelick's side or Rohan's side.
Yeah, and then he never retorts back.
Because
he is, and he knows it. Mm-hmm. And so what would he say? You're right. I'm ignoring the awful things he's doing in favor of advancing, or this archipelago of humanity. What was the word I'm looking for? This island of humanity. That's the word. Off on another planet into an advanced age beyond what we have here, where he even was from, and because of this magic.
I feel like Dralyn,
because we can't teleport. Not even one of us can teleport.
Yeah, a hero, Mr. Hero from Another World. Legend of Another World.
There's a reason why.
Yeah,
I know why now.
Dralyn, a legend from another world, kind of saw something. I feel like was Frelick's initial testing grounds, away from everybody.
Yes.
So it seemed like Frelick was hiding
on the Burning Eclipse, which is an island there's an island in the middle near this endless burning sun.
So it looked like that Frelick was using this place hiding his experimentation at first, but eventually it moved into the school itself.
Yeah.
And that feels like, yes, that was a hiding spot. It was intended to hide the things he was doing.
And then it became kind of common knowledge that Frelick was coming to take your kid.
Yeah.
and as you saw in the battle, when Tresca was going into the fight with them, they commented about how they saved the children from Frelick the Vile specifically.
Yes.
It's him that's causing all the problems.
Because
him and Rohan.
We never really write into here who he chooses, why he chooses them.
He doesn't talk about it.
They don't talk about it.
He doesn't have an answer for them.
So to everybody else, all the parents outside of the school, it could be their child that gets chosen. Because they don't know why.
Those of them who are willing to accept that Sloane the Divine would do that. But
yes.
Yeah, which isn't all of them.
Yes.
So most of them just trust. Blindly.
Mm-hmm.
And was it for good reason? Who knows? We'll see in the next book. I'm not really 100% sure if I would say Sloane's success was for the betterment of the humans there. Yeah, that's how I would say. I'm not sure 100%. I have to finish that story. But
there is good things that happen because of that school, but does the good outweigh the bad? Is the real question.
I don't know. The scales of morality aren't balanced in my mind. That good actions are not a feather, and evil actions are not an anvil.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that for me. Good doesn't weigh anything. Good has no value, weight-wise, in morality to me. Just the evil. It's very one-sided. And until that evil is gone, there can't be balance. There is no good use of evil. That it's contradictory.
Yeah.
So all the evil needs to be gone for good to be recognized as good. Does that make sense? You need to remove all of the evil for good to be recognized as good. Because not even you can say Nathaniel was good in this.
No, he did he tried to do his best not to do...
He had to kill a couple people.
Yeah, he did have to kill a couple people, but then he made it his goal to not do it anymore.
To do it, and he didn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
Even to Sloane, who he had plenty of time to do it to. And Sloane's own son was willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple times.
Well, there's this guy
and then he killed his own friend again. He took Dralyn away from him.
Yes.
It just takes everything from Nathaniel, and Nathaniel just lets it go. But we'll see what happens at the very end. There's one more chapter, and it's kind of his message to the world, and his why he did what he did and why he did it. Anyway, I think that's good. Thanks for listening.
Have a good day.
We love you.